Tonight we're diving into the fascinating world of semiconductors, the tiny, powerful chips that are the beating heart of our modern technology. These minuscule marvels are found in almost every device you use, from the smartphone in your pocket to the car you drive, and even the appliances in your kitchen. They're the unsung heroes, quietly making our lives easier, faster, and more connected. These microchips are the invisible engines of our digital age, processing information at lightning speed and enabling the seamless flow of data that powers our daily routines. Every text you send, every online purchase, and every GPS direction relies on their incredible processing power. Without them, modern life as we know it would grind to a halt. Imagine a world where your favorite gadgets, smart homes, and even hospitals suddenly stop working. This is the scale of their importance. Even your holiday lights and video calls depend on these intricate slivers of silicon, each packed with billions of transistors smaller than a virus. Their complexity is staggering, and their reliability is what keeps our world running smoothly. The race to design and manufacture the most advanced chips is a race for global technological supremacy. Nations and companies pour billions into research, innovation, and production, knowing that whoever leads in chips leads in the future. Control over semiconductors means economic and national security leverage. These chips are not just about gadgets, they're at the core of military systems, infrastructure, and the global economy. That's why the US and China are locked in a high-stakes battle over the future of this industry. The competition is fierce, with each side investing heavily to secure their place at the top. The US leads in chip design, while Taiwan and South Korea dominate manufacturing. But China is determined to catch up, pouring resources into research, talent, and infrastructure to close the gap. Now, the US has formally accused China of unfair practices, escalating tensions in this critical sector. The stakes are higher than ever, with both sides aware that the outcome will shape the next era of technology. The outcome could reshape the global balance of power, influencing not just technology, but economies, politics, and the very way we live our lives in the years to come. The US government has officially accused China of using unfair and aggressive tactics to build up its semiconductor industry, a sector that powers everything from smartphones to fighter jets. This accusation isn't just a passing statement, it's a formal charge that signals a major escalation in the ongoing tech rivalry between the world's two largest economies. A major investigation by the US Trade Representative, after months of gathering evidence and consulting with industry experts, concluded that China's policies are not only unreasonable, but also directly harmful to American business interests. The findings were published in a detailed report that has sent shockwaves through the global tech community. At the heart of the complaint is the claim that China isn't simply competing on a level playing field. It's using every tool at its disposal to try to dominate the global chip market, including heavy government subsidies, forced technology transfers, and strict market barriers. The report highlights what it calls aggressive, sweeping non-market policies orchestrated by Beijing, designed to give Chinese companies an overwhelming advantage and to sideline foreign competitors. US officials warn that if these practices go unchecked, American innovators and workers could be pushed out of the market entirely, threatening the future of the US tech industry and the livelihoods of thousands of skilled professionals. But this dispute isn't just about economics or business competition, it's also about national security. Advanced chips are the backbone of modern military technology, and control over this industry could tip the balance of power on the global stage. Notably, the investigation began under President Biden and continued under President Trump, demonstrating a rare moment of bipartisan unity in Washington. Both administrations agree that action is needed to protect American interests. By officially labeling China's actions as unfair, the US is laying the groundwork for a new wave of tariffs, sanctions, and other countermeasures. These steps are intended to level the playing field and send a clear message to Beijing. This marks a turning point in the global tech landscape. A simmering trade dispute has now become an official conflict over the rules and future of the world's most important industry. The US is making a stand for open market competition and innovation, pushing back against what it sees as state-driven dominance and unfair advantages. As the world watches closely, the outcome of this conflict could reshape the future of technology, trade, and global power for years to come. The USTR's investigation details how China distorts the global chip market. Chinese firms receive massive state subsidies, low-interest loans, and direct capital injections, advantages private companies can't match. These companies can build huge factories and sell chips below cost, gaining market share at the expense of foreign rivals. The report also cites forced technology transfers and wage-suppressing labor practices. The US argues this is a coordinated, long-term strategy to seize control of the global semiconductor supply chain. The focus isn't just on cutting-edge chips, but also on legacy chips vital for cars and appliances. The US frames China's approach as aggressive, state-sponsored protectionism. The findings set the stage for a direct challenge to China's industrial policy. What does non-market policy mean? The term might sound technical, but it's actually at the heart of today's global economic debates. Non-market policies refer to strategies and actions taken by governments that shape business outcomes, not through open competition, but by using state power to tilt the playing field. In a typical market economy, companies compete and survive based on merit, innovation, and efficiency. Success is determined by how well a business meets customer needs, manages costs, and adapts to change. The market rewards the best performers, and those who can't keep up may fail. But China's approach is fundamentally different. Here, the government doesn't just set the rules. It acts as coach, owner, and even the star player. Chinese authorities provide their firms with nearly unlimited resources and support, ensuring they have every possible advantage. This support comes in many forms: direct subsidies that lower costs, free or discounted land for new factories, government-funded research and development, and even loans that don't need to be repaid. These tools help Chinese companies grow rapidly and take risks that others can't afford. By contrast, US and European companies must answer to shareholders, operate transparently, and ultimately turn a profit to survive. They face strict regulations and must compete on a level playing field, without the same kind of government safety net. Chinese firms, on the other hand, are often told to win at all costs, even if that means operating at a loss for years, as long as they achieve dominance in key industries. The result? Artificially low prices that make it nearly impossible for competitors to survive. Many foreign companies are forced out of business, unable to match the scale and resources of their Chinese rivals. Once these state-backed firms dominate a sector, they can control the market and set prices, often to the disadvantage of global competitors and consumers. The US sees this as a fundamental clash of economic philosophies, a direct challenge to the principles of fair competition and open markets. While Western countries do support their industries at times, they expect companies to compete on their own, without constant government intervention or guaranteed success. China, the US trade representative argues, is using the full power of the state to guarantee victory for its firms, reshaping global industries in the process. This fundamental difference in approach is fueling the current trade tensions and sparking debates about the future of international commerce. Ultimately, it's a battle over the rules that will shape the global economy for decades to come, affecting businesses, workers, and consumers worldwide. After its investigation, the US found China guilty of unfair trade practices, but delayed punishment. New tariffs on Chinese semiconductors are set for June 2027, leaving an 18-month window before they take effect. For now, tariffs remain at zero, but the threat is real and looming. This delay creates uncertainty for businesses, forcing them to plan for an unknown future. Companies may start shifting supply chains now, even without knowing the final tariff rates. The move is unusual. Typically, trade penalties follow quickly after such findings. Instead, the US is setting a time bomb, giving industry and governments time to react. The next 18 months will be a critical period of adaptation and negotiation. The countdown has begun, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The world is watching to see how both sides respond. Why delay tariffs for 18 months? The answer is strategy. First, it gives American and allied companies time to adjust supply chains and avoid sudden disruptions. The world relies on Chinese-made legacy chips. Immediate tariffs could cause shortages and price spikes. The delay signals to industry, change is coming. Prepare now. It also gives the US time to coordinate with allies like the EU, Japan, and South Korea for a united response. A coalition would put more pressure on China than unilateral action. Finally, the pause leaves room for negotiation. The US hopes China will reform its policies to avoid tariffs. This is leverage, a probation period for Beijing. Whether this strategy works remains to be seen. The delay turns tariffs from a blunt weapon into a diplomatic tool. How does China's approach compare to the rest of the world? The US and EU also support their chip industries, think the CHIPS Act. But there's a key difference. Western incentives are designed to attract private investment, not replace it. Companies still have to compete, innovate, and turn a profit. Government support is a nudge, not a blank check. China's strategy, by contrast, is seen as market-distorting massive state intervention to ensure dominance. The goal isn't just a strong domestic industry, but global control, especially in legacy chips. The US draws a line. Its support strengthens markets, while China's aims to command them. This is the heart of the dispute. It's the difference between helping a student with a scholarship and rigging the entire exam. That's why the world is so concerned. The chip conflict will ripple through the entire tech world. For the next 18 months, uncertainty will make companies rethink investments and supply chains. Expect a rush to diversify manufacturing, more factories in Vietnam, India, Mexico, and even the US and Europe. This could mean higher costs, and eventually, higher prices for consumers. The tech world may split into two spheres, one led by the US, the other by China. Companies might have to build separate products for each market, slowing innovation. The seamless global tech ecosystem could fracture along geopolitical lines. For now, prices stay stable, but as companies shift away from China, costs may rise. This dispute shows how decisions in Washington can affect the gadgets we use every day. The world's digital future is at stake. As June 2027 approaches, the world is watching. The next 18 months are a strategic phase, not a pause. Will the US and China negotiate a solution, or will tensions escalate? Watch for major companies announcing new factories and supply chain shifts. China could retaliate, targeting US firms or restricting exports of critical minerals. A tit-for-tat trade war could damage the global economy. This isn't just about chips, it's about the rules of the 21st century economy. Will open markets prevail, or will economic blocs compete for dominance? The outcome will set a precedent for decades. The countdown to 2027 has begun, and the world is holding its breath.